Hello everyone, this is Suresh from Azure ADB. Today our topic is how to verify schema mismatches between two tables using PySpark. So in this we'll mainly see how to find which columns are present in source table but missing in target table. So it is mainly useful when we are comparing two data frames. So that whenever you are working with ETL validation or schema comparison. So we'll see the scenario. So while validating schema consistency before loading data from one system to another. So if you see source table, so data extracted from your production database and the target table destination schema in data warehouse. So if your source table has additional columns like, so these are all the column names and that are not in the target schema. So this but what we are going to discuss, that code helps to identify the additional columns. So this mainly useful. So when you are attempting to merge schema or insert a schema into target table. So I have one source table data. So that is this one. So here I'm reading that source table data and I'm trying to print column names and what are the number of columns. Okay, so here I'm using source table dot columns and here I'm using length of source table dot columns. So this is my data and I have this many columns here. In source table, I have this many columns and the number of columns are 13. And the similar way in target, I have this data and so here also I'm trying to print. So total how many columns are there, column names and number of columns. And if you see here in source, we have 13 columns and in target, we have 11 columns. So first we'll see one example. Suppose my source has uh, these columns. Okay, so suppose how to find if a source has some extra columns. So this is source table dot columns. Suppose if I have columns of this. Okay, so total 4 columns I have, and in target I have 2 columns. So now what is the difference? Missing columns in target. So that means source I have total 4 columns and in target I have 2 columns. So I need to find so those 2 columns which are in source table but missed in target table. So what is the columns missing in target table? That is age and city. If you see here, ID and name is common both in source and target, and these are all the 2 columns missed in target. And if you see our example, in our example, total we have 13 columns. If you see here, source table columns, so these are all the 13 columns we have. And if you see in target table, we have these 11 columns, and these two are the missed in target. In source it is there, but in target it is not there. So now we'll see how to find those columns. So here what I'm doing is source table dot columns. Okay, so normally what it will give is source table dot columns. It will give list of column names. So we already saw here. So you see here, this we will get a list of columns. So on top of that, I'm using set operator. So set operator, what it does is it will remove if any duplicates are there, and at the same time we cannot do this minus operation directly on list of elements. So that's why we're using set here. So set of source table dot columns minus set of target table dot columns. And if I try to print these missing columns in target, so missing columns in target, so that is this one, session underscore name and session underscore ID. See here these two. So these two columns are in source, but it is not in target. So, same thing I mentioned here. So these two columns are present in source table, but not in target table. And similar way, here I'm using set of, I'm using the reverse way. So here I mentioned, so first I mentioned source. So now here what I'm doing, first I'm mentioning target table dot columns minus source of source table dot columns. Now what will happen? See the table here. So target table is this one, 11 columns. And if you see source table, it has 13 columns. But what this minus operator will do is, condition is, since we mentioned this one, from target to source, what it checks is, it checks columns, which are all the columns in target table, whether it is present in source table or not. If you see here, all these 11 columns are present in this source table, but we have extra columns, but it won't care about these extra columns. So that's why we are getting here is set as null. See here, there is no empty set. Okay, so even though we have extra columns in source, it won't show. So only it will compare whether these columns are there here or not. So that is the difference. So next what I'm doing, so here I created one function here, and uh, same line of code I mentioned here, set of source table dot columns minus set of target table dot columns. So what I want to return is, I want to return this variable here. So here this source underscore table, target underscore table, I'm passing through function, and this function I'm calling here. Okay, source underscore table, target underscore table. So since I mentioned first source underscore table, so I'm getting these two columns as missed. Next, similar way, by using same function, and first I'm defining target underscore table, next source underscore table. So since we already discussed, it will give you empty set. So next, what we'll see, target has extra columns. Whatever, as of now, what we saw is source, if source has extra columns. So now we'll see if target has some extra columns, what will happen. See here, source table, I have columns of 2, X and Y. And target, I have columns of 3, X, Y, Z. So now I want to find out missing columns in target. So here what I'm doing, set of source table dot columns minus set of target table dot columns. So what will happen now? It will check what are columns in source, whether it is there in target or not. Even though we have one extra column in target, it won't consider. So that's why it giving empty set, because in source X and Y, it is there in target. That's all. So it won't bother about extra columns. So this code finds which columns are present in source underscore table, but missing in target underscore table. Even though target has an extra column Z, this code only checks for columns missing in the target. So it ignores extra ones. Okay, so same thing I mentioned here. So next scenario is no missing columns. That means source and the target both have same number of columns, same number of columns and same names also. If you see here ABC, here also ABC. So if you use set of source underscore table dot columns minus set of target underscore table dot columns. So since it compares both the columns, and since columns are same, and it will give you the empty set. Since both have the same columns, so the result is an empty set. Okay, so So that's how you can uh, compare the schema of two tables. So that's all about this video. If you really like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.